3, 2, 1.
Clap now. Right, welcome everyone to the number one Morbius morbing fan Morbusy cast.
I have no idea what Morbius is. I'm sorry.
I'm your host Jared Leto. I'm joined today with Ozzy.
Christian Bale. Yes, Ozzy.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, Christian Bale. I forgot what your name was.
The British Psycho.
He's not actually a Christian, and he's not actually a hay bale.
Yeah, I'm not made of straw. I know, plot twist. We could talk about the place we were at the other day, because that was pretty interesting. Yeah,
it was the most bougie house I've ever seen. So basically, we get up to it, and it's like this fucking black monolith you'd see from a H.P. Lovecraft novel or something like that. It's just like a relatively flat, just black building. It's not very high, but it's surrounded by
wood.
Exactly. It's made up out of black polished wood with a slightly angular roof, and there was neat gravel outside. And we were like, Jesus Christ, this looks like somewhere where we're going to be sacrificed to an occult deity. So
I had heard about it being incredibly posh. So I was kind of
I thought you were going to say you heard about occult rituals involving eldritch gods. Well,
lots of books about astrology and tantric sex, but I don't know. It's not really eldritch abominations.
I did get a bit creeped out by it, but you go in and everything is just polished wood, polished surfaces, just polished everything. It's gleaming. It's like everyone has gone round and scrubbed every single square nanometer of it with soap. You know, or shampoo for those not in the know. And it was just absurd because, yeah, like you said, there are about 12 rooms, not counting utilities like toilets and all that shit. There are about 12 rooms in the entire house. Like the house was shaped like a sort of what do you call like a geometric looking U. So it was
yeah,
like a half donut. So in the middle of it, you had this big open-air patio with these huge sprawling fields in front of it, and this barbecue that we roasted the fuck out of some meat on. And
halloumi.
Exactly. And the kitchen is about the size of a normal person's house entire downstairs combined. It's actually no, it's probably bigger.
It was quite funny when you had a hit of that weed, and then you were very gone towards the end.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna sound like such a fucking I don't know.
Narc?
Yeah, like a narc. Because I was like, guys, I've never taken a cigarette before because, for the record, I'm asthmatic, and I was like, clear, hand me that cigarette. You know what? I sucked on it for 5 minutes. No smoke came out of my mouth when I took it away from my mouth. It's because I wasn't doing it right.
We were trying to tell you to do the double inhale thing. I don't know, but
yeah. But I was not doing that because it didn't feel right. It felt physically uncomfortable doing that. So I thought that must be wrong. But no, actually, that turns out it's the point. So I forced myself to do the double inhale thing, and I was like, that's not that bad. And then my lungs practically exploded like 2 frag grenades had fallen down them, and I sat on the patio looking like that fucking reaction image with my eyes watering like the fucking Niagara Falls.
It was quite funny. I felt like it was quite funny.
No, I got so my head was swelling so much from the coughing that I just lay down on the patio and flat my back.
That was because of weed though, right? That was after you had a little bit of the devil's lettuce.
Oh yeah.
As well,
I did a bit of toking on the smoking,
It's interesting just how the first cigarette is actually quite painful. Most people say that they don't enjoy their first cigarette, so you have to kind of force yourself to get addicted, which is the fact that you didn't like it is definitely good. Don't get addicted to cigarettes.
Well, no, if I get a cigarette too addicted, I'll be fucking dead by 35, because that asthma. It not to be rolling with the rollies, you know what I'm saying, my brother.
You can just start vaping, Corben.
Yeah, no, vaping
is good for you.
I literally
think that they're going to ban disposable vapes soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, wow,
So
wow, guys, it's the wonder drug that's going to cure cigarette addiction, and it's just as bad.
I mean, most people I know
in the end of the day, fucking breathe air. Just breathe air.
The thing is, most people I know who have disposable vapes, they're not like, oh, they're great. They know that they're bad and they know they're addicted, but they're just like, oh, it's kind of so convenient because you just go and buy it and you can just puff it whenever. You don't have to roll it. You don't need a lighter, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. I tell you, when I was 14 or whatever, I hit a Juul, and I was such a fucking narc that I thought I was high from hitting the Juul. So
you can get backy rush though. You can get a little high very quickly, or very temporarily.
But I sipped on it. That didn't come no steam came out of my fucking mouth, and I was like, guys, I think I'm seeing things. Just imagine tubby little 14-year-old me being fucking zonked on a vape or something.
Was I there? I feel like I'm getting a false memory.
No, that's the Man Nelson effect.
Right, the Mandela effect.
No, that's not how
Corben always vaped.
That's not what his name was.
The Mandela effect.
Exactly, the Mandela effect.
Yeah, the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was pronounced Mandala. Desmond Tutu. Desmond. Oh, cool.
No.
His middle name is Mpilo. You're not allowed to. That's not allowed in English. You can't have the mp.
What?
You gotta have an M and then a
the rice.
What? No, because it's mp, and in English you can't have just a word start with an M and then another consonant. I don't think. Can you? You can't have.
You know what we need to do to find the answer to this is learn Welsh. Them motherfuckers have one vowel and it's a Y, and everything else is a consonant.
Is this actually true?
No, but it just sounds like it because
No one speaks Welsh. I'm sorry if you speak Welsh.
I'm sorry to the 1 million people in Wales that speak Welsh.
Oh yeah, no one. Plaid Cymru. It's the one thing I know in Welsh. That has at least 3 vowels.
I thought it was Cymru.
Is it Cymru? I swear it's Cymru. Hang on.
Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, did you know? That the Cambrian explosion is named after Wales.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cambria is
interesting.
Cambria is the Latin name for Wales, and because of the archaeological records which led to the discovery of the Cambrian explosion, they were found in Wales, so it was called the Cambrian explosion. So the Welsh explosion.
Well, ironically, there were no whales in the Cambrian era. But,
yeah. Was your mum alive during that time? What?
No.
Oh, okay.
But there's Cumbria, Cumberland, which is way up north and not in Wales. So I guess is it a misnomer?
That's I don't think they're related because Cumbria is near the border with Scotland.
Yeah.
And Gaelic is
power station there.
There is. Isn't it abandoned?
Yeah. Maybe soon. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but no, Gaelic and Brythonic, which is Cornish, Welsh, and Breton, they're all actually quite different from each other. So it's probably just a misnomer.
I mean, Brittany is in France. That's another kind of misnomer, right? Or I guess Britain might have got its name from Brittany.
I mean, Brittany is the French Cornwall. It's a small little peninsula that sticks out of the main country and has a half-dead Celtic language that still manages to permeate some of its society and culture. Yeah.
Brittany. I'm googling this.
The Britannussy.
Britannussy.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's the name of some cave in Britain.
Oh yeah. Ozzy, you can talk about your theory that Ussi is going to become an integral part of human language.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is not my theory. I stole this from a Lingthusiasm. I stole this from a Lingthusiasm bonus episode.
No, you didn't. Don't put yourself down, my homie.
Okay. No, but basically they were saying, how, for example, the word nostril, I think, originally came from nose, which is obviously nose, and thrill, which is a hole. So nostril is nose hole. So you could add, people say, bussy, thrussy, salmonussy, computussy, so on and so on. You could just add ussy to anything, and it means a hole in that thing. Eventually, 100 years, 50 years, it's not going to be remotely rude. It's just a thing. you know.
Oh wait, no, I fucking get what you mean now, because on that Instagram post that I made for my birthday, and I tagged you in a video of like me filming you going nostrosy.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally just nose Ozzy, and I thought that was the joke, but I didn't realize it was actually you actually explaining the etymological root of Ozzy.
So, because I guess the more vulgar meaning would be a hole which you could do, you know, things to.
What do you mean?
That's like the more vulgar meaning, but I think
but like, why would you want to
just
put
a
your
hole?
Why do you want to put
in a nose? I don't fucking know. Which is why the meaning is better if it's just a hole in general and it's like not remotely rude. Like I don't know. What's another one? I'm drinking from a cup right now, which has a hole in it, so it's like a cup pussy.
Yeah, the Ussy in my exhaust pipe for my car is quite rusty. I need to oil my Ussy.
the engine Ussy, the tractor Ussy,
God.
The Volkswagen Ussy.
Yeah, the Volkswagen. You know Volkswagen. Oh, you want to learn about history? Here's a little interesting.
Oh yes, okay.
Do you know what Volkswagen means in German?
People's car, maybe.
It does indeed. Basically, right. Here's a little interesting tidbit of Nazism. Volkswagen was originally a state-founded brand of cars during the Third Reich. To gain traction with the German working class before the Second World War, the Nazi government instituted the Strength Through Joy program, which is essentially giving what were essentially seen as rich people's hobbies, like cars, because, you know, cars were not nearly as prevalent then as they were today, and stuff like mountaineering and holidaying, basically state subsidising all of those to gain popularity and support with the working class. So Volkswagen was created to be an affordable, easily producible car, which the Nazi government allowed people to buy via loans, which wouldn't have to be paid back with interest. So it allowed basically Germans to be one of the few societies during the time to have like a mass car industry. And this was basically saying, yeah, I know we've taken away your human rights and your any political freedom you might have, but here's a car, you know, no hard feelings, essentially.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so, but after the Second World War, Volkswagen was auctioned off by the West German government and became a private company, which still exists today. So actually, it was originally a Nazi institution. It wasn't just influenced by them, it was a Nazi institution, plain and simple. You'll find a lot of outliers like that, because, like companies that either were created or collaborated with the Nazis. They had the policy of what was called alignment, where essentially, because it was a totalitarian state with no political freedoms, they wanted to sort of mobilise all of German society towards the party line. So, like, making people who were either actively opposed to it or uncomfortable with Nazism either completely apathetic and just will let them do what they want, or will be active supporters. And a way of doing that was to essentially bribe the public with, like, massive social welfare programs. The thing is, like, these programs couldn't be paid for, so they were essentially on borrowed credit, which the Nazis wanted to essentially compensate for by declaring war on their neighbours and initiating mass plundering. I mean, that's not the primary reason they went to war. It was, you know, obviously ideological, rooted in, like, scientific racism and stuff like that. But one of the reasons that they really liked war was because it allowed them to essentially plunder the money back that they'd borrowed to fund their massive bribing campaigns, essentially.
This is just some YouTube stuff, but I want to say this, right? So I've got gained like 1,600 subscribers or something in the last month, which is crazy.
You're gonna overtake Shane Dawson soon, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, soon, definitely. But it's just on the video that got loads of views is like English with a Turkey Pona accent. Yeah, you've probably seen it. And the comments are just like, I don't want to disrespect my audience, but it's like so many people are just like, what is Turkey Pona? Like, you could Google it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean that you could Google it. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, maybe counterpoint. I mean, I agree with you, but counterpoint. Maybe they want your take on it as someone who knows how to speak it. Yeah, because maybe it's because Wikipedia is quite sort of robotic and like janky in the way it explains things.
Yeah, I thought that as well. Maybe they just want someone. They want like someone to respond to them and tell them.
Well, we were chatting about this the other day, and like, I mean, correct me if I'm incorrect, but like, isn't the point of Toki Pona being like a made-up language that it's to communicate as most information as possible using the least amount of vocabulary?
Sort of. That that would be more like Ithkuil or something. The point of Toki Pona is just like kind of simplicity, very simple grammar and very small vocabulary and easy to pronounce, but often at the expense of like ambiguity. So you know, you could, I don't know, if you say like Tomotawa, which means like moving structure, it could mean like car, or it could mean like moving room, or you know, it could mean many things. Like, I don't know, it's supposed to be obvious through context most of the time, but I think for more than small talk it can be a bit clunky.
Yeah, well, isn't it? It's sort of like linguistic minimalism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I like the like hoops or the steps that have been taken to make it really easy to pronounce for like everyone. Like, it only has 14 sounds total, so it doesn't have it only has voiceless consonants.
Yeah,
apart from nasals. Well, I think because it has n and which
I didn't know that's what they were called.
Yeah, nasal. Yeah, because you like pronounce them through your nose. But do you know what voiceless versus voiced means?
No, but I'm guessing it's something to do with body language, maybe.
No, it's a bit of a weird way of calling it, but it's like whether or not you vibrate your vocal cords when you say a consonant.
Gotcha.
So, right. Yeah. So if you like say like s, like S, and you put your hand on your throat, then you can't feel a vibration. But if you go z, then you can like feel a vibration. Your vocal cords.
Gotcha. So whether it's in the mouth or whether it's like in your diaphragm, that's probably yeah. I don't know where the vocal cords are.
The vocal cords are like in your throat.
Oh, right, okay.
They're like a little. You can see videos of them vibrating. It's pretty gross, actually.
Like these nuts. I'm so sorry.
But I think some languages don't distinguish between like like whether or not you use your vocal cords. Like, so some languages wouldn't have a difference between like f and v, and therefore the people who speak the language like won't, because they haven't grown up hearing these sounds. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference between f and v.
Well, that's an interesting question, because as a connoisseur of Mongolian throat singing that you are, I mean, I know you can't speak Mongolian, but I guess you know like a few words and stuff like that.
I know a tiny bit about the language, but
yeah, well, I was going to ask, like, because of how like culturally important throat singing is it like a language which really requires you to use your vocal cords a lot?
Mongolian is pretty consonant heavy.
Okay.
Like, and it has lots of interesting. It has like the lateral fricative, which is voiceless, but the lateral fricative is like Welsh has it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. Tuvan, and this is a total hypothesis of mine. It's absolutely unsubstantiated. Tuvan is very different to Mongolian, I think. Like, it's not the same language family, but it's spoken like really far back in the mouth. Right. So I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Well, I think I know why. It's because Tuvans are a Turkic people.
The Tuvan are Turkic people. There's a theory, a hypothesis called Proto-Altaic, I think, which is that there's like all the languages of like Siberia are related somehow. I think it might even like span to Chinese being related to Turkic and all these, but I don't think there's much evidence behind it.
Well, it probably makes sense for like Central Asian languages to be quite closely related, because I mean, like, for the longest time, like the civilizations that inhabited there, like, they weren't settled agricultural ones. They were like nomadic. Well, basically they relied on animal husbandry. because like the steppe, besides specific things like commercial crops, they have really poor soil quality for growing things like wheat or like basic sustenance foods. Mm-hmm. So for the longest time, their civilization sort of revolved around grazing animals. So you'd rear horses, cows, sheep, goats, and things like that to then milk or eat them. And instead of being settled in one specific area, they'd move around fairly constantly in sort of a general direction to different grazing lands to keep feeding their livestock and thus feeding themselves. So it's like it kind of makes sense that if they're constantly on the move, or relatively constantly on the move for the longest time, that their languages would actually come into contact quite a lot and intermingle.
I think that's the thing actually, like with Proto-Voltaic, all of these languages have lots of like borrowed words from each other. But just because there's lots of borrowed words, it doesn't mean that the languages come from the same ancestor. It just means that these people are like around each other a lot in history.
When also like internomadic warfare was really common. Like their political landscape is nothing we'd like recognize with like nation states or whatever, but like it was pretty common for like tribes to go to war with each other and absorb and confederate and things like that. So that would have been even more direct contact. I mean, but again, like I haven't looked into this. Look on fucking JSTOR because I could be totally like talking out my ass right now, but I don't know. Logically, it makes sense.
The biggest language family in the world, and I think the most the most evidence behind it is like Indo-European, like Proto-Indo-European.
Yeah, most European languages, Iranian, and then all of the many languages on the Indian subcontinent. I think that's roughly how it goes.
Yeah, that's why it's Indo-European, I think.
Yeah.
And also, like, Nepali and so on. I think Nepali. It's quite interesting, the features that Proto-Indo-European languages, like, have in common. I think, like, there's no distinction between exclusive and inclusive we. If you say, like, we're going to the cinema, it could mean, like, me and you are going to the cinema. Or it could mean me and some other people, but not you, are going to the cinema. And some languages have a distinction, like, I think the Maori, I don't know if it's called Maori, but the language which is spoken by some indigenous people in New Zealand has a distinction. And I guess Polynesian languages and Indo-European languages don't.
Well, I guess it's sort of like, it's expected to be implied through context and, like, physically being there. And, obviously, English is a pretty good example, but, like, the emphasis on certain words completely changing the meaning of a sentence. So if you go, like, we are going to the cinema, it means as in us but not you. Or if, come on, we're going to the cinema. That means sort of like, we're all going, including you.
Yeah.
But like the sentences are identical, but the enunciations are completely different, which completely changes the details of the sentence and its meaning. That's probably why it's probably because it's expected that you would emphasize that in the situation when you ask it.
Well, like, I know Spanish has a thing. I think in Spanish, to ask a question, you just have to, like, change the intonation. You'd be like, ¿Tienes una gata? ¿Tienes una gata? I don't know. Like, do you have a cat? Do you have a cat? Like, you have a cat? I don't know.
Yeah.
In the way that English questions work is really weird, though, because it's like, it has the do, and then you, like, it's like, do you? It just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, most of the language rules in English are, like, logically bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, very few languages are actually logical. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're a fluent Spanish speaker, so is it true that, like, because Spanish is pretty highly gendered by comparison, that if there's a group of people, you have to sort of account for how many women and men are in the group to use either, like, a gendered reference?
Ellos or ellas.
Yeah.
Sort of. Well, in Spanish, basically, the default is, like, masculine. So if there's a group of, like, 999 women and one man, then it's ellos. And it's only... Basically, if the group isn't all women, then it's masculine. Which is a bit shit, but yeah. Although it is weirdly, in some contexts, easier to not mention gender in Spanish. Or in the context where you would have to in English, which is like, he did, she did, they did sort of thing. Like, in Spanish, you don't have to do that because you don't need a pronoun. You just have the verb, and it's just like you wouldn't say like he eats, you just say like eats.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's like a third person single because of how the verb ends.
Well, one thing I'll never get over though is like how inanimate objects are gendered.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
It's like I can get it when it comes to people because I mean, you know, that's where gender sort of applies in the context of people, but like I never get over the fact that like German has like a fucking masculine form of reference for like a chair. So it's like you've got to implicitly be like this, like a chair radiates some sort of stereotypical quality that's like associated with men, but this object doesn't. That's more associated with women. And it's like, does the chair have balls or something? Like what? Like I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's like in German as well. A key is like, I think it's like ein Strüssel or something, which is masculine, and in Spanish una llave is like feminine. And I think if you get German versus Spanish speakers to like picture a key, the German speakers will picture like a more stereotypically masculine, like chunky key.
Yeah.
And the Spanish speakers picture like a, you know, stereotypically feminine, like dainty.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like it like subconsciously affects the way you perceive the world if you like constantly associate implicitly objects with like certain characteristics. It's really weird that like I really want to see some more like sort of experiments with psychology about that, because I reckon it has a really interesting perspective to like, you know, does speaking a certain language, even though all languages are equal in that they all communicate information, does language affect like your personality or like beliefs due to sort of the associations of that language, like you said with...
This is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, I think.
The what?
The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, I think I'm saying it right, which is like language dictates or affects how you think. But
yeah,
I think there's like a strong version and a weak version of it. I don't know if you've seen the movie Arrival. It's a good film.
Is that about the aliens that like... Yeah, and they have to learn their language.
Yeah. But basically the I don't want to spoil, but the strong version is like learning another language would like drastically change the way you see the world. But that's kind of discredited now apparently.
Yeah.
But there is a sort of weaker version of it, which is like, you know, for example, in China, I think they see time as like vertical. So I think the past is above you and the future's below you. So they might say like below the week, like in a week's time, and things like that. Language does affect how you think. I think that generally you could translate anything from one human language into another, but it might take like, you know, many sentences for something which takes one sentence in another. But like I think we're all ultimately like there's nothing that one human could say that another human is like incapable of understanding.
Yeah, well that's the thing that I remember learning in English language when I was doing it at A-level is like the general rule of thumb is that languages are obviously like semantically different, but at the end of the day, they are all a natural result of the human need to communicate information between each other. So it's like, no matter how distant they may be in like sort of their phonetics and their grammar and all that, they all at the end of the day are like tools of information transfer. So all languages are in a sense equal because unless they're an artificial language, they all communicate information effectively. So in that sense, there's no like better or worse language. Like, I mean, the reaction we had to like German and Spanish is like, that's as English speakers. But I mean, maybe to Spanish and German speakers, they think that the fact that we don't have those sort of gender traditions, maybe they think that's really weird. But at the end of the day, Spanish, German, and English are all equal because they all communicate information perfectly well, you know?
It's interesting the different methods that they use, or sort of that like Chinese is I think what's called an isolating language, which is like in Chinese you basically never modify words to convey meaning. So there's no like you wouldn't say like walked, like the verb walk never changes, and then you add little auxiliary particle words to mean like walk before, walk after. I don't know much about Mandarin, but. That's why the Chinese writing system of like, you know, one symbol per word works pretty well for the Chinese language because you never have to like modify the words. If we wanted to write with like one symbol per word, would we have one symbol for like walked, walking, walks, all these different things? It'd be a mess.
Well, that's actually a really interesting thing you mentioned though about Mandarin, and the relation between the language and the script is that. So I mean, the Chinese Empire, and up until like the 19th century, was like sort of pretty much the most powerful state in the world. It wouldn't like fit what we call like a superpower today, because the world simply wasn't as interconnected. But basically, all of its neighbors were under its thumb essentially. So Vietnam for centuries actually used the Mandarin writing system, despite speaking actually a very different language. Fact check this on your own. Don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure Vietnamese and Mandarin are very distinct. They're only vaguely related. They're not actually very similar at all. But despite this, because of their proximity, due to trade and political connections, the Vietnamese states used Mandarin instead of their sort of more traditional writing systems. But actually, after decolonization, when Vietnam gained its independence, they chose to use the Latin alphabet instead of the Mandarin script, because the Latin alphabet's writing system matched much better with the Vietnamese language than the Mandarin writing system.
They have diacritics for days, though. Vietnamese has, like, so many diacritics. Diacritics are like accents, like the little things you put on characters to change.
Oh, right.
Vietnamese has a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think they're marked for tone. I think Vietnamese might have tones, maybe, like Chinese. But yeah, one thing which is quite interesting is Chinese has pretty or Mandarin has pretty restrictive.
I got you.
普通话 has pretty restrictive like phonotactic rules, so there are only quite a small number of syllables, maybe like 100, 200 syllables that are allowed, which is why so many words are like, there's so many homophones.
Yeah.
So if Chinese was written with the Latin script, which is obviously phonetic, lots of these words which are homophones would be written the same as well, and obviously in the current system they're not. So you can distinguish between words which are said the same because they're written differently.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. As like an Indo-European language speaker, I think the hardest language for me to learn would be Mandarin or Cantonese. Yeah, like I said, all languages are equal. It's just from my perspective, it's so like fundamentally different in the sense that it's just every sort of rule you have with English seems to sort of be turned on its head. Cantonese
has 6 tones. I think Mandarin has 4. So Cantonese is apparently, most people say it's the hardest language for English speakers to learn.
Yeah, I'm in awe of how you know that.
It's the Cantonese is famous for its 6 tones.
Oh, I never heard of it. Maybe I'm just.
I don't know. I guess if you learned Cantonese, then Mandarin probably wouldn't be that much harder. It's like, I think they're probably not that different. They're not mutually intelligible.
Ozzy, what do you think of the film Morbius?
I haven't seen Morbius. I don't know what is it. What is Morbius?
I'm banning you from the server.
I know it's bad. I know it has bad reviews. Well, I know it has Jared Leto. I know it's a meme now for some reason.
It's Morbin time. Is he gonna reconnect?
Oh, you actually kicked me. You got okay.
Sorry, I just kicked you out and I said it's Morbin time.
Okay, no, but what is more like? Why is it a meme? It has really bad reviews. Right, it has Jared Leto.
Post irony phase of the internet, my man. It's
right.
Like you said, it bombed hard as fuck, but it made a massive profit. So I don't even know why it's funny at this point, because it never was to begin with. It just tickles me for some reason. But
Jared Leto looks like a health and wellness YouTuber, or like a hippie YouTuber who talks about crystal healing.
Oh yeah, didn't Bart Baker become like a CCP shill or something?
Yeah, he started making like TikTok videos for
Bing chilling.
I guess that was John Cena.
No, I know, but it's the same shit, different day.
Apparently, bin chilling just means ice cream.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, bin chilling. Whoa, 非常好.
What's up, Beijing?
What's up, Beijing?
Look that up. Look that video up if you haven't seen it already.
Was amazing.
What's up? I listen to that 5 times a day, right?
Yes. I watched like the full one as well, but I don't know. It's kind of good without the context.
Do you ever get like a video you get recommended that is like a short one that just pokes your dopamine receptors?
Yeah.
And you just can't fucking stop watching it over and over again.
Well,
it's like,
I feel like the sadder you are, the shorter the YouTube videos. Like, I feel like when I'm really sad, I just watch like 1,000,000 5-second YouTube videos.
See, I'm the opposite, because like I'll watch like long ass videos to sort of like immerse myself in something else. I know Pyrocynical being a furry is like a meme now, but like but he does these long ass fucking video essays on like either like bad TV shows or one good TV show if you're counting the Utopia video, and like obscure indie games besides Far Cry.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Yeah, but like I'll watch those and I'll watch them to the end of them like feeling really shit, because like it just like I'm no longer at that moment thinking about all the shit that's bothering me. I'm just thinking about like the semantics of the storytelling of Far Cry 3 and like the underutilization of like Vast Montenegro or something. Yeah.
I do like Pyro actually. It's interesting how in like 2015 it was like people would always talk about Leafy and Pyro, and now the fuck, Leafy just isn't there anymore. He's gone. I swear. Like
he got banned.
Oh, he got banned. Really?
Yeah. So what happened was he made his like, obviously he exploded onto the scene, made those like shit videos and shit, and then he got into like a bunch of drama with Keemstar, and H3H3, and then he got a content cop made up on him by Mr. iDubes, Mr. I'm Not Racist Anymore, and he just like basically made a few really shitty response videos to the content cop, disappeared, and then was just gone for like several years. Then he had like an interview with Keemstar, came back, started making all these videos, like going on a rampage basically, just like mentally stabbing YouTubers that he like really didn't like. But because he was so vitriolic, he just got banned. I think he got banned off of Twitter as well. And then he disappeared.
I thought he was funny when I was like 15.
Yeah.
Yo, this guy's so fucking cringy. Yo, go get a fucking job, you cringe lord.
Wait, you know those like fucking TikToks you see now where it's like unrelated video, but in the background there's like, I don't know, what is it, Rocket League playing in the background?
Yeah, or Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's like someone doing Minecraft parkour. Dads of Reddit, what's the worst thing you ever did?
What's the thing? I looked at that, I was like, oh my god, like, what are we as a society are doing right now is fucking awful. We're destroying our attention spans. But then I realised, like, fucking 15-year-old me loved that shit, but it just had a different name. And it was commentary channels. Because, like, Leafy fucking playing Doom in the background of his video, where he's talking about something completely unrelated, is literally a way to, like, get little kiddies to, like, be fixated on the gameplay. So even if the commentary's boring the ever-loving shit out of them, they'll be like, oh, I really want to see him complete the fucking Mars mission on Doom Eternal.
Yeah, well, it is fun to watch gameplay. Like,
it is. That's the thing. As much as I rail against it, like when I see a video like that, I just get sort of like helplessly drawn into it, and I hate the fact that I'm such a sucker for it.
Yeah, true, because you want to kind of see if he wins. Are you winning?
Yeah.
Son?
That's the thing. It's like when I'm seeing fucking Minecraft parkour, it's like I know what this is doing. I know why they're doing it, and I don't think it's good for me. But I really want. It looks like he's going to make a dodgy jump. Oh no, he's going to make another dodgy jump, and like so forth and so on. But yeah, but
I tried surfing in CS:GO once because of those videos, and I just couldn't do it. It's actually really hard.
Finishing off with the thing about Pyro, it's like man's done a 180. Because like you said, he went from being like that bottom feeding, just like I'm copying Leafy verbatim now, to like making like one video a month, which is like 8 hours long or something stupid.
It's good. It's like what Lemino did as well, sort of.
Oh yeah, the fucking.
Because he used to do top 10 videos.
Top 10 rage comments. Rage comments, comics.
When Lemino did top 10 videos, they were actually pretty good. Yeah. Like as top 10 videos go, they were like the cream of the crop.
Yeah, but now he's doing stuff on Jack the Ripper and then Alien Civilizations. Yeah.
You can tell he puts a lot of work into them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, well, like the animation alone is enough to warrant a 5 stars.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for watching. I don't really know if we need to sign off.
You've been listening to the #1 Morbius fancast.
The Rambletrack.
Exactly. Remember to Remember to unsubscribe, dislike, and we'll see you in the next episode.
If someone actually does
No, please don't. I beg you. Bye.
No, please don't. Bye.